Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing on this lovely Friday afternoon? Welcome to my channel, Ballstall Boys Towers. Still haven't got me my normal phone back, which I do my recordings on, but I'm using an iPhone 6, so hopefully you can hear me and you can see me loud and clear. Right, today's topic, guys. Hope everyone's having a good weekend, by the way, or the start of a good weekend. I hope everyone's going to have a nice, well-deserved rest from work over the weekend. Time to chill, put your feet up, spend quality time with family, and yeah, be the best person what you can possibly be, because that's what I am every day. I'm the best person I could possibly ever be. Whereas unlike years ago, I was a horrible person. People avoided me, and I was a dangerous man too. So yeah, it's great to wake up free from addiction, free from prison, free from crimes, and living the dream. And that's exactly what I'm doing, guys. So we're 1 minute in, and this afternoon's topic is going to be about motocross bikes. The reason why I'm bringing this subject up is because I've loved motocross bikes and road bikes and trials bikes, enduro bikes, all bikes with a passion all of my life. This is not something which is just come on me overnight. I've lived it for many years, from childhood, when I was at home with my mum, just a wee little boy, and I had a little RM80, and yeah, those were the days, and it's never ever left me, and I love this sport with a passion, MX. So I've written a few bits down on a few subjects which I want to cover on this video, guys. And my first time on a motocross track for 25 plus years was just last year, and the first track which I went to was the notorious track which everyone knows it as, and it's called Ashdown, which is in Oxfordshire. Now, I can't really stress and explain to you what a track is really like unless you've been there, because it's like, you know, the hills are literally vertical, like a roller coaster. 1 mile down drop, 1 mile up drop, tabletop at the top. Loads of different tables there, very technical bits, lots of ruts there. It's a very well kept track, and the first time I got there was a bit of a whirlwind for me, because, you know, I'd been on the track for 25 years. So going to Ashdown for the first time for me was very overwhelming. I had all the stomach butterflies, and I couldn't sleep for 48 hours running up to it. Because, you know, it's a rush, it's an adrenaline, and it's something what I've always loved. So yeah, my first track was Ashdown, and my first experience at Ashdown was, let me find a word for what it meant to me and what it done to me. What it done to me was it gave me so much adrenaline that I just couldn't stay off of my saddle. I just kept riding all day. Because you can ride there from 10 until 2 or 10 till 3, and that's a lot of time on your saddle. And yeah, the first time I went, I didn't really go too prepared and didn't have much water with me. Luckily enough, a few of my pals who I went with had water, but, you know, them silly little things are what are very important. And yeah, my first experience there was, I can't even explain to you the buzz what I got from it, and the excitement what I've got from it, from riding there and going there for the first time. It sure did break me into a motocross world, going to Ashdown. So that's that subject. How it makes me feel, I wanted to have a talk to you about now. Well, how it makes me feel knowing that I'm going to a track the next day, or knowing that I've got a track coming up, a day out on my bike coming up. How it makes me feel is it gives me an adrenaline. It gives me the butterflies. It gives me plenty of motivation. It gives me something to focus on. It gives me something to look forward to. And I wouldn't trade it, and I wouldn't change it for the world, because it took me many years to get to the place where I am today, where I was got in a position to own my own bike, buy all the protections, buy a trailer and be self sufficient or self. You know, I haven't got to rely on no one to go out. Although I've got quite a few mates what ride around my area, it's always nice to not rely on too many people. You've got to rely on yourself. You know, you come in this world on your own, and you're going to go out on your own. It is nice to go out and go to different tracks with different mates. But at the end of the day, you know, it's always nice to also go there on days when your mates can't go out and they can't make it for some reason. So, you know, and you want to ride. So that's the reason why I bought a trailer, and yeah, so that's that. It gives me, as I said, it gives me something to focus on. How to ride on a proper motocross track. Now, you know, I didn't really know properly how to ride, so there's no point of me lying to you, saying to me I'm a very experienced professional rider, because as I said, I hadn't ridden for 25, 30 years, and when I did ride all them years ago, let me tell you something now, it wasn't on no motocross tracks, it was across waste ground, it was across commons, on roads, getting chased, and you know, it was one of them ones. I've always been a petrol head. So yeah, it's totally different how you got to ride on a motocross track to how you would ride on waste ground or on the road or anything like that. Basically, when you ride a motocross track, you must straight away learn how to stand up on your bike. You must squeeze the shrouds with your knees and ride on the balls of your feet. The only time you can really sit down on a motocross bike is when you're going round corners or going down a hill or going up a hill. Other than that, you've got to ride on the balls of your feet. So fitness is very, very vital. It's important to be fit. The reason why you stand up on a motocross bike is because of you control your bike with your knees. And the reason for that is because if you're sitting down on a bike and you're going through rough terrain on a motocross track, because most of them, 99% of them are rough terrain, although they get graded, they're still bumpy, and you know, it's very uncomfortable to sit down. So if you're sitting down, now imagine sitting down and going over them bumps like that, like for 3 or 4 hours in one session, in one day. That means that your suspension is taking them bumps, and all them bumps are going up through your hips, up through your back, and that's where you don't want it. So this is the reason why you must stand, because when you stand, you're using your legs, your calf muscles and your feet as suspension, and your back is taking no bumps, no strain or nothing whatsoever. You've got to be free on the balls of your feet. And that's why when you see a lot of motocross riders, especially professionals, when they go around corners, you don't really see them turning their handlebars much, going around to the left or going around to the right. Most of it is controlled by your knees. You'll be leaning your bike round and turning your handlebars to whatever corner you're going, very, very slightly, but a lot of it is done from your knees. Ruts on tracks is every track you go to is ruts, and I used to hate ruts when I first started riding, but now I love them. And the reason why I love ruts is because you pick your line, and when you're riding, you never ever look down over your handlebars at your front wheel. You must always look ahead, because if you're going into a rut and you're looking over your tyre, I guarantee you your handlebars are going to get twisted. Your front wheel is going to come out of the rut, your back wheel is going to stay in it, or your back wheel is going to come out of the rut and your front wheel is going to stay, and you're going to go off. You're going to be stiff on the ground, standing up or laid out straight, whatever way you fall. So yeah, ruts, pick your line. My advice is pick your line in a rut, yeah? Look ahead and power through that rut, because with motocross bikes, they get all their traction when the mud is a little bit wet, when it's a little bit greasy or a little bit tacky. That's when they really get their traction in the throttle on the back tyre to handle the bike. On dusty tracks, when it's very dusty, you know, when you power out of corners or you power down the straight, your back wheel's sliding about, but in the wet, your tyre digs down into the dirt, and that's where you get your traction. So yeah. Now, tables. When you come up to a table, when I first come up to my very first table, which is a jump, And most jumps on motocross tracks are very, very high. Let me tell you now, they're not for the faint-hearted. And I don't advise anyone whatsoever to pin the throttle in second or third gear and fly over that table or that jump if you haven't got no experience. So make sure you roll around that track. You get to know every nick and cranny in that track, and feel comfortable. Don't feel like you're under pressure. Don't feel like you've got to please anyone else, because at the end of the day it's you riding that bike, and it's you, what's got to take the falls. And when I ride, I don't care about no one else apart from myself. And I don't compete. I don't ride to compete with others, because that's when a lot of accidents happen, when you're trying to keep up with the Joneses or trying to keep up with the guy in front of you. Worst thing to do as a novice. Do not do that. Ride your own ride and just enjoy your ride and have a good time. That is what it's all about. Not competing, pushing yourself, taking yourself to dangerous limits and having horrific injuries, because a lot of horrific injuries do happen on motocross tracks. And as you can see, you've only got to look at the motocross championships on TV or on YouTube, and you see quite a few people having fatalities, dying. So yeah, ride your own ride. That's all I'm saying to you, and don't keep up with the Joneses. Make sure you've got all protections. This is something which I later learned as I got more experience on a motocross track. So you've got to have not normal motorbike boots will be passed on a motocross track. They're totally different. Siddies, All-Stars, whatever boots you've got, if they're motorbike boots and are not motocross track boots, you will not be allowed on a motocross track. And that is because when you go around corners on a motocross track, you must put your leg out. So if you're going around to the left corner, you must put your leg right the way out. If you're sitting down around the corner like you normally do, you must, say if you're going around to the left, you must put your left leg right out and bring it right the way up to the tank, and that's your balance. So this is why. And sometimes when you're coming out of the corner, when you're actually sitting down in the saddle, your back wheel slips and you need to dab the ground with your ankle. That's why it's important to wear motocross boots, because motorbike boots haven't got Kevlar, haven't got metal in them, and they won't keep your feet protected. So make sure you've got motocross boots. I like to have knee supports, because when you come off of a bike, that's the first thing that normally hits the ground is your knees. And I've had a very, very bad injury on my kneecap going over a jump when I was a young kid, when I was just a teenager. And I went up a 25, 30 foot jump, come off in mid-air. The bike come away from me, and beneath me was pebbles and rocks, and I landed on my knees into rocks on the ground. I actually had to have an operation on my left knee because it ripped my kneecap out. So yeah, make sure you've got knee protections. Some people wear elbow protections. I wear them too, because obviously when you fall, the first thing you do is put your arms out, and you don't want to break your ankle, your elbows or anything like that. Gloves obviously is important. Goggles is the most important thing on a track. Goggles and boots, I'd say. Goggles obviously because if you're behind someone and they're ripping around a track, which most people do, they're throwing up lots of mud, lots of stones, anything was coming off that track. And if you look at my goggles on previous videos, you'll see they're full of mud. And if you didn't have them goggles on, you can imagine you'd lose your eyesight very, very quickly. So yeah, goggles are very important. Another thing which is very important, see, you need a lot of stuff to ride a motocross track. You think you get a motocross bike and you can just ride straight away, you're totally wrong. You must get all the protections. Right, I wear a neck brace too. It's called Elite neck brace, and just that one neck brace is 150 quid. So it's not cheap stuff, but it's something what you must get, because obviously whiplash, you fall off your bike in midair, you're doing jumps, you could snap your neck and break your neck, and you could possibly die straight away. So that's very, very important. A neck brace, back plate and chest protections. That's very important too. If you land on the floor after a fall and you land on a rock, or you could land on anything, on any part of your body, you know, it could puncture your body and you could literally die that way too, or have horrific injuries, especially your heart and your main organs in your chest and also in your back, your spine. So I've got full body protections. So that's just a few bits what you need, guys, for a motocross track to ride a bike. The cost of all of this is you know, I can't put a figure on it. You could buy second-hand motocross clothing, and you know, you could probably get the whole kit for under £500. I'd done that to start off with, and a few of my good friends, which I ride with, very kindly helped me out and give me a few bits to get me up and running, and I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, I ended up buying all of my own stuff, and I'm still buying stuff now, and I'll tell you something, I've spent over £1,000 just on motocross clothing itself. So the cost of it is very expensive, but it's a very good hobby, and once you've got all this stuff once, that's it for life. You've got it for life. So I know it's a lot of money to start off with, but it's very rewarding once you've got it on. As I say, you've got it for life. Tracks, the cost of tracks now. Tracks vary from different prices. The cheapest track I've ever seen or ever rid on is 25 quid, and the dearest is 50 quid. So it varies between different tracks. You've got different courses. Obviously, you've got enduro courses for enduro bikes. They can go on and off the road. And you've got motocross tracks which are just for MX bikes, and I've got a motocross bike which is a competition bike, so it's not an enduro bike, so it's not advisable to go onto an enduro course, because enduro bikes, motorbikes and motocross bikes, not real but motocross bikes are set up totally different. So I'm glad that I knew that, because I do like going onto motocross tracks and doing jumps. I did used to like enduro when I was younger, but you know, as you get older, there's nothing worse than going over wet roots, what are sticking right out the ground with loads of leaves on the top of them. You know, your front wheel goes over it and your back wheel spins out, or you know, you've got to jump over logs or rocks or anything like that. It's different horses for different courses, but myself, I like sticking to motocross tracks. I've been to a few enduro tracks with my motocross bike, but yeah, as I say, out of choice, it's a motocross track. Fitness. This is the last subject which I want to talk about. So I'm 18 minutes into it, so I could go on all day about motocross because I love it with passion. Fitness now. Fitness is very important to ride a motocross track. I do see large, oversized people riding bikes, and you know, it's different horses for different courses. I like to stay fit. I like to stay in trim, because you know, it's good to be on the ball, and especially when you're having accidents. You know, if you're heavier, you're going to hit the ground heavier. So yeah, it's different horses for different courses, but I like to stay fit, as in not in body weight, as in CV, cardiovascular, you know, cardiovascular, sorry. That's important on a motocross bike, because if you're not fit and you're riding all day long, you know, that's not very good, and you will soon find out that you need to be fit to ride a motocross bike, especially to handle it all day, to stand up on the balls of your feet, to take the rough terrain, to take the jumps. And you know, it's good to be fit, guys. Water, yes. This is another subject which I'm going to end up on now. You know, some people forget to take the water with them, and there's nothing worse than dehydrating. That can cause a whole heap of health problems for you, including heart failure and things like that. I learnt my lesson the very hard way. The first couple of times what I went out, I didn't take no water, and it got that bad for me. Within an hour of riding, I had to stop, and I had to literally beg someone in the pits for a litre of water to drink. I was dehydrating that much. So that's a top tip for the day for motocross bikes and tracks, guys. Make sure to keep dehydrated. You can get things called camel packs what go on your back. and there's a clear tube what goes in through your mouth and in through your helmet, and you can just stay dehydrated. You can stay hydrated all day long. So I strongly advise you get that, guys. I'm going to leave this video here. I've got more content coming up later on in the day. Hope everyone has a good weekend. Peace.